Welcome to Fable Table, an actual play live stream focused on critical world building, collaborative storytelling, and finding the fun in games. I'm your host, Nick. Joining me today is the cast of Season 3 here. How's everybody doing?
Hello. Doing great.
Well, on my way to drunk.
Solid.
Hell yeah.
How are you?
Also,
Tired and happy, Nick. Tired and happy.
Tired and happy. Cheers. Also joining us today is my puppy, Nova, who just will not stop staring at me right next to my seat.
I think I still have some points. Give her a bone.
Okay, I've got a bunch right back here. I've got like a bunch of. I got these last Christmas, and we're almost out. So.
Is it a puppy Trito or is it a Bon Appetit?
Wait, how much are each? There's two.
Puppy Trito is 2,000, but a Bon Appetit is 4.
Okay, so yeah, these are the 2,000. The Bon Appetit are really big, like Costco chicken and rice bones.
Oh hell yeah! No, we'll do the Trito.
All right, there you go.
She
baby.
gets a treat.
Enjoy.
There we go.
There's a crunchy. Oh, you get another crunchy, and you get another big bone that I will. Holy shit! Okay, there's 2 more, and I'll get her a big bone later during the break. Ugh.
You see, Nick, we're just planning out the break for like 45 minutes from now from when Nova gets sick from all this shit.
Nova's like, Dad.
Oh, Nova just threw up. Going on break, guys. I'm like, sweet.
Nah, she's a good girl.
We're outside.
We wouldn't want to do that to you, Nova. That would be terrible.
Absolutely not. But she loves you all. Thank you. So you all have returned to Ladle's Rest, the rather significant settlement here in the Fox Lofts that sits on the top few floors of a old world skyscraper that is just peeking up out of the sea. And you all, just to kind of recap some of the important imagery we saw as you came in, you saw that several of the ports or the docks of the port were kind of marked with red flags to indicate like do not dock here. And you later learned, I think, from the dock workers that those docks were closed because there is fear of the Leviathan that has been harassing ships in this area. So trying to minimize risk, they're having everyone dock at kind of low depth areas where there is little room for Leviathan to come up under those docks. So you also came up with an arrangement with the dock workers that they would offload a bunch of your pinwolf collection of bodies, and that they would bring them to workers to process, remove the hides, process the meat, even cook some of it, maybe turn some of it into jerky. And the way this kind of like barter system, trade-based economy works is that everyone that is going to be helping process those raw materials will take their own cut. So you don't expect to have nearly as many pinwolf hides and meat as was on your ship. But the work will get done. You also learned from a young boy whose name was Sherman, a very young word bearer, basically a postal worker, that the town is going to be having a town meeting, effectively, to talk about like what's going on with the Leviathan situation and its impact on the town, and ultimately decide what to do about this. There's a lot of worry about the impact that the Leviathan is having on basically like you all, on wild sailors and their ability and interest in continuing to work and help them function as a city on the sea in this area. But for now, you all have kind of left the ship to the remaining what do we call them? Cosmers that you saved who want to stick it out with you all, as well as the dock workers, and then I think Captain Soliday also agreed to stay with the ship a little bit, but she marched off for now just to like get some take care of some other errands before she returned to the ship. And you all have kind of your freedom at the time. There's some time to explore, some opportunity for some downtime actions and things like that, which we will process using the montage system of the Wildsea. But the montage actions are meant to take place really, really fast. So if someone was actually interested in having a scene with an NPC or with another character, we can handle that too. But really, this is kind of your time to handle whatever you want. Are there any, I guess, questions about the about Ladle's Rest, about downtime actions? I can go over those mechanics, but I also wanted to open it up for other questions before we dive back into some mechanics.
So like when we rest, it resets our ailments on the...
That is a specific montage action, is recovery. Yeah.
I see.
So if we look at the rules tab that we have set out, the third tab of our document, and I'll switch to that for the viewers. And then if we scroll over to the far right, the orange box at the top of the third panel is montages, which have acquisition, which is to acquire resources, to recover, and to create. There is also just kind of like broadly, you can name an action or something that you want to do. If it doesn't neatly fit in one of these three things, then we can just make it work. But if there's like essentially anything you want to do with some of your free downtime. There's also some...
It's interesting. Relaxing says that it requires like an appropriate whisper. So it wouldn't just be like some of the downtime actions that we have like while we're in port.
Right. So because clearing a mire, that is like being haunted by your time at sea. So you'd want to like engage with something that really draws you out of that stupor. And whispers are an interesting mechanic. I've kind of decided what I want to do with whispers. I know we kind of talked about how we wanted this to be very low magic, and not really use whispers in the sense where your characters are actually like manipulating reality with them. I want to use whispers as a narrative resource that you all have as collaborative storytellers. That you can spend at any time and just say, oh, hey, my character is gonna like learn something or have already learned something. Or, hey, Nick, I want to change a detail about the scene that you just set. And that will be like you like grabbing a magic eraser of the story and setting and set up and like erasing it and then painting your own picture. So we will still have the actions that whispers come with of like normally when you whisper them or say them or shout them, they have different effects. And I'm forgetting where those are listed here. But we can still use them in that way. They are an important resource in this game after all. Yes. Yeah. I will find where the description of the three things you can do with whispers are. But yes, recovery from a mire is one thing that you can do with a whisper when you recover. Any other questions?
Not until we get the downtime stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. As a reminder, there are quite a few, like I've described lots of the markets here. There is any type of market you can picture. There is probably something like it here. It is not a metropolis though, so there are limitations to that. But all the major resources that are operated with in this world, I'd imagine there's someone that either sells or trades in that type of thing, whether or not they have the specific thing you're looking for. And then in the terms section, the fourth tab, we kind of talked about how ports and harbors have these different types of kind of staple establishments and offerings that attract wild sailors. The markets, the junctions where people, where wild sailors go for sleep, and job boards and bounties and looking for crew to join. Or to go join a crew. They have the shipyards, which y'all have docked at. And then there's these other kind of like tertiary ones, smokehouses, Shadow Springs, which is like a spa slash laundromat, Kartoika, which is where you can like exchange information on maps. And then the chop stations, where a lot of your Pinwolf stuff got taken to for processing. Yeah. So if you wanted to visit any of those, you could as well. And then you all have access to our long list of connections, whether or not it's one of the like friends that you all like took as a important connection. Any of these we could say are available to you here if there was a specific individual you wanted to talk to. But otherwise, we can move along to the montage. So was there anyone that wanted to go first with a montage of a downtime action they wanted to do?
Bill is very interested in repairing the harpoon turret.
Ooh.
So assume he would wander towards any gunsmith market space and look for someone in the know on weaponry and machinery.
Okay. So I think that would be a recovery montage action, which requires resources or an appropriate environment. The resource can be spent and automatically take the conflict result if desired, or otherwise use the recovery table, which we'll look at here in a second. This is on page 62, but this would be repair. To refurbish broken mechanisms and armor, allowing you to clear marks from gear or mechanical companions. So do you all have anything in particular that would apply salvage wise or other resource wise that would help you fix this harpoon turret?
Let me see what I got.
I do have diffused shells.
Diffused shells?
That's what the salvage is called.
Let's take a look at your salvage.
We have now reached the end of my awareness of what that means.
What is a
I assume it just means like gun bits, you know, is what I read it as. In nondescript gun stuff.
That's perfect.
Interesting. Diffused shells. To make less dangerous, no. To remove the fuse from? So you just have shells, like not...
It's literally the salvage is called diffused shells.
Okay.
I don't know.
So I'm wondering how diffused shells help with your harpoon turret.
Well, they're nondescript gun bits, as I said. So I suppose you combine that with other nondescript gun bits to make a repair. I'm using Fallout rules here, okay?
Yeah.
This pile of shit plus enough bottle caps means thing is fixed, right?
You take one pile of things and then you take one pile of things.
Nick, does your montage require me to like draw up a schematic and then go satisfy the individual list of things on that schematic? Because I'll do that if that's what you're saying.
I need something that makes sense. So I'll take
right.
your diffused shells and I will raise you your engine cogs.
What about using the flexible tongue from the Pinwolves as
Make a crossbow?
Kind of. I mean, it's a harpoon. You're firing a large, like, spiked, barbed spear at high velocities. What about using the flexible tongues in old? Have you ever seen, like, Roman ballista, where they, like, wind up, like, the animal sinew to, like, fling the ballistas out? What about using the flexible tongues to help repair that and make our harpoon feel like a ballista?
So I'm curious if you're picturing. Wait,
I know you showed us the picture of these things last week, but I saw flexible tongue and started thinking.
I mean, I could see also that the tongue's being used to make like a special kind of harpoon rather than piercing things. It wraps around them like what's the other thrown? What the fuck is it called? They're used by
like a bola.
Like, yes.
A bolo.
BOLA. Bola.
Bola.
Think of it like a rope with two balls at the end that wraps around and trips people.
It's used to like hobble something you're pursuing. Like
I said bolo, but this is what I meant. Okay. If
you want to make a bolo tie out of that wolf tongue, that's another conversation.
Put some diffused shells on the end of a flexible tongue. You've got yourself a bola. Okay.
I would read that. Wait. That sounds great.
So we're using the flexible tongues for spear ammunition and bola ammunition, but I also heard it being used as like the rope of the wench.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think what I have to do is process all the wolf sinew into like catgut, just high tensile string. Okay, that's my montage image. I am processing some of the left behind sinew bits.
Okay.
To make a ballista.
I have the mental image of you doing that while making soup at the same time.
Yep.
And not
really I definitely know which pot is which.
Yep.
Okay. So this ballista is going to be worked on by a guy who you've contracted to do it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, these flexible tongues, these are great. Yeah, I can definitely do that, but I'm definitely going to be keeping some of these flexible tongues as my payment." Which will deplete your flexible tongue specimen. So the flexible tongue, I'm also okay, yeah. So the winch is wound up with tensile flexible tongues. The arms of the ballista are like pulled back, because like the ballista has those like the arms that are then like pulled back as you winch it.
A crossbow.
Yeah, like a crossbow. So that has flexible tongues, and then there's also ammunition being made out of flexible tongues. Jesus Christ. So I'll delete that.
Underestimate the power of a very flexible tongue.
Okay.
This weapon is now called the lickety split.
Okay. Wonderful. I fucking love it. Lickety split.
Excuse me. I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh.
So just so that we're aware that when
my favorite thing you've ever said, Andy.
Has to call the order, someone man the lickety split.
Okay.
It's my favorite thing you've ever said.
We have now repaired the harpoon turret. Okay, I think that's appropriate. And I think also because this is such a creative solution and it's gonna completely deplete your one of your specimens. Please also consume the are you making the boluses? The boli?
Sure. With the diffused shells at the end.
Go ahead and deplete your diffused shells.
Absolutely.
Also
do I just delete it?
Has a bolus ammo option. Okay.
Oh, how do I deplete it? Do I just hit delete? What do I do?
You would just click the cell and click delete, or whatever you Apple users have on your keyboard.
Ooh,
I'm on a
that's fine.
Windows laptop.
Oh, okay. Well, then just hit delete or backspace.
I don't use your Google Sheet on my iPad.
Oh, well, good for you. So with a lot of these montage rolls or montage actions, you sometimes have to roll if it's particularly, complex or dramatic or risky. But I think that this is fine.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
We got a harpoon gun.
Do you so there's like this kind of like engineer that you go to, and engineer smith type guy, or carpenter maybe, I don't really know what to call him. He's just like a tinkerer. Do you work with him, or do you leave the work to him?
Oh no, I work with him. I'm a walking workbench. I have a crafting bonus.
Okay. I think that is a really enjoyable experience for him. He's a bit eccentric, and I don't know how receptive you are to eccentric tinkerers. He's going to be someone who's also making loads of suggestions of other things you could do with the ship. Some of those ideas you might like, some you might not. You can decide for yourself if you enjoy that kind of person.
Dill, I think is what race, what kin is this person?
This would probably be let's go with a Ketra. One of the kind of slug-like people who have kind of translucent flesh, and you can just see bones in their body. These are people that are a form of descended from human. They're a group of people that took to the underground for the first 100 or 200 years of the Verdancy. And then they evolved rapidly because their water was infected by Krezerin. And then they emerged, and yeah, they look very strange now. They have faces with mouths and noses, but no eyes.
Oh, they're like naked mole rats? Are they like blind?
No. Well, they don't have eyes. They just happen to be able to sense in lots of other ways. But they kind of have gelatinous slug-like bodies, very gooey. Yeah, and even though they have human skeletons within their body, the bones aren't necessarily where you'd expect them to be. Fun fact.
That is gross.
Dill, who also doesn't have bones at all or a skeleton that you expect it to be, is like, this is one of my people.
Fantastic. Okay.
What up, slug friend?
All right. Who would like to go next with their montage action?
I'll go.
Sure. What do you want to do?
So, Salt is going to, this kind of montage. You see him kind of like climbing to ascending to the higher parts of the tower, looking for a spot to relax. And I think he kind of ambles around and he finds the Shadow Springs.
Oh, heck yeah.
And how long is this, like the day and the night? Like, how long are we doing this?
This is an abstract amount of time, so we can play it fast and loose with like the time of day. I know that you might have been more interesting of like nighttime in the city.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. So there is a family owned and operated establishment here called the Bubble and Blow. And it's a like side by side, like two businesses, but it's family run, so it's one. On one half is a smoke shop, or rather, what do they call it again? A smokehouse. And that's the Blow part of the Bubble and Blow. And then there's the Shadow Spring on the other, which is where you get the bubble. And so this family is a gal named Saraba Small, with 2 A's and 2 L's. Saraba is a legendary smokesmith who like makes some of the best drugs to smoke that people in the Fox Lofts know of. And then his wife, an Ectus, Saorine, who wears the pants in this family, runs the Shadow Spring side of things. I don't think anyone took either of them as a contact. Is this an establishment that you've gone to before, though?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. So you'd be greeted by Saorine, who is probably a short and skinny Ectus woman, but with really beautiful multicolored flowers all over her body. She's a bit high strung though, and intense. So she's probably like, "Oh, Exaltair, come on in. We'll get you all set up." And she's like, "Are you washing clothes? Are we dunking you in both at the same time? What'll it be? What are we doing for you?"
I've been a little shaky as of late. Had a bit of a harrowing experience. I really don't want to get into it. I'm just looking to unwind and relax.
Sorry to hear that.
Dark space, hot water.
Okay.
Sounds fantastic.
Now, are we thinking you want this is at night that you've come here?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's probably pretty dark and dim. She can offer to turn off any of the like Firefly lanterns that they have and just make it as dark as possible for you.
Excellent. I want like the full sensory deprivation experience if you can, please.
She'll put a lid on that thing and just like pull this string. It'll ring a bell if you need out. Or if you need help. Don't drown yourself, please. Thank you. So what are you hoping to gain mechanically here?
Mechanically, I'd like to attempt to do a recovery and clear the last mire that I have, the hands shake under pressure.
Okay.
But the scene, I think, is Salt before coming down here, he was giving this guy a real nice look, observing it for a little while, and then he came down and he's taken a strong liking to this place and has on the walls, which are like dark, he started his own like little project. He has like a small like I'm picturing something kind of like an X-Acto knife or like a very small sharp tool that he went to the star map, the observatory that's in the city, and criticized their star map because they have the constellations marked out all wrong. And he's creating like his own correct version here in this spot, which is like his favorite spot because it's so dark and so relaxing.
Okay.
And even though it's completely dark, like you don't see what he's doing at all until the lights come back on, but he like knows the stars and the constellations so well, he's like marking it out super accurately. And he just kind of like pokes like these little spots or makes these like little scratches, these little dots as he's like relaxing in this like nice dark quiet bubble bath.
Love it. Okay. So this sounds like the relaxing action within recovery,
Yes.
and which requires a whisper, and then you get time away from the savagery of the sea. Relaxing allows you to clear marks from your mires. So I see that you have one whisper, untouched branches.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we get?
But it depends on the roll too.
Yes.
If I roll well.
Yeah. So it sounds like you are doing something like you're working on a passion project, with working on your kind of like star chart, or is it art, or is it more like a practical item that people will use? Is it just for you?
It's art. It's like when you want your mind to quiet down, sometimes silence isn't enough. You gotta occupy it with something else.
Okay.
You have to do something soothing. So being able to focus, and it's a very simple task for him. He knows the constellation so well, it takes very little thought, but it is just one thing that he can kind of focus on and drop all the other thoughts, let them melt away, and really kind of open up and relax and just kind of fiddle and tinker away.
Love it. Okay. So while you're fiddling and tinkering away, I think that we get. I don't have anything prepared, and I assume you don't either. But since we're consuming this whisper, I think we get like this kind of like recitation of a poem you've heard of, referring to the constellations and the connections between them. Like as you're drawing lines between the specific constellations, you're talking about them as untouched branches between one another.
Maybe some of the constellations are like tree related or something of that nature.
Yeah. And I think that, like, given the history of this world and the understanding that, like, the people on this world, especially humans, came from other stars. There's an understanding that there are stars out there that, like, are connected, and also ones that aren't connected, and how this planet is also now an untouched branch of humanity, or at least is disconnected, at least. But feels very untouched at this point.
And there's the corners of space, the constellations, where through lore being passed down, we understand there is no life. Like no life came from there. These are just stars without any planets. And so they're literally untouched in that sense as well.
Okay, so what records of the worlds and the stars out in the galaxy have been maintained and highly valued by the Cosmer? That's really interesting. Okay, so for this, I would like a roll to see how well this recovery goes. So I think as I was looking over these, study makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
which I have 2 in study.
Maybe grace as the edge, as you're working on kind of like an artistic project.
Yeah.
So yeah,
precision, elegance, and quality. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, give me a 4d6 roll.
Excellent.
No cut.
That is a 5, a 5, a 3, and a 3.
Okay. I think a 5 is good enough that I'm not going to remove your whisper. You will recover this mire.
It's a double, so it doesn't consume resource used for the recovery.
Correct.
Nice.
Yep.
Which is amazing. That's like the best result that I could have hoped for.
Oh yeah, that's right. A twist on a recovery roll, yes, does not consume the resource. Perfect.
Awesome.
All right. I think that I'm gonna give you, since this is a conflict result, I do want to remove the mire of shaky hands under pressure, but I'm gonna give you a quote injury of a twitch. And I'm going to give myself 1 use of this to cut 1 time on a roll related to using your hands.
Interesting.
Shannon, you're muted.
Is that...
Sorry about that. I was muted. My bad.
Do you have a question, Travis?
I know that's like the 5 or 4 is like the conflict result, but
yeah,
looking at this chart, action results, success with the drawback usually marks, clears a box. And attack has something, but recovery, it just says heal 1 mark.
Yeah, because usually recovery rolls are about like healing your tracks, like your aspect tracks, but relaxing
aspect, ship rating, injury, track, mire.
Yeah. So yeah, the recovery roll result chart doesn't say anything about recovering from mire. I guess
it does.
Well,
I'm looking at it.
Heal 1 mark of damage to an. Oh, okay. So you know what? If you had 2 mires, you would need a 6 to recover both.
Yeah.
A 5 or a 4 only recovers 1. Okay, yes, I agree with you now. I was compromising based on my understanding of how mires might fit into this, but you're absolutely right. Okay, you've cleared 1 mire. Perfect.
Heck yeah.
All right.
I love that there's like 3, 2, or 1. So depending on how many dice you're rolling, you could potentially have a 50% chance to make everything worse. And I love that.
Yeah. And it'd be worse. It would be the worst if you rolled just a 1, 2, or a 3 with no
No
doubles.
doubles. Yeah.
So you consume your
You gotta
resource and make
relax,
it
but
worse.
It literally just gets
Yeah.
worse.
So what's great about the montages is we can kind of put these wherever we want. Like it can be when we're just like during smooth sailing, or like we're huddled around a campfire. So some actions might not make sense, like going to a shop and not hiring someone to repair your ship's ballast.
Harpoon gun. Yeah.
Harpoon gun. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Who would like to go next?
I would like to go visit Ikate.
Ikate. Yes. Ikate is a hunter, right?
Yes.
And this is one of your connections. Ikate, the spider Celicrae. So Celicrae are presented as kind of like 3-armed, lanky people that oftentimes have skin or are wrapped up, and they are made up of a collective, like a swarm of something under all that skin or wrap. And I think the fiction presents it as it's supposed to be spiders all the time, but I like the idea that sometimes Celicrae are something else. Like bees, or in a podcast I listened to, one of the main characters is a bunch of what are they called? Bumble bats, like they're like bumblebee sized bats. Really creepy.
That.
Anyway,
No, I love it. They're so cute. Okay.
yeah. So Ikate is the captain of a small crew of trappers that go by the namesake of their vessel, the Patient Palm. They are known for harvesting and selling pristine pelts, organs, claws, bones, and other animal parts. Where do you typically meet up with Ikate? Is would the junction of this port make the most sense?
I think it does. They have a vessel, so they probably live on the vessel. It's kind of like we live on ours. So we'd probably go meet them by the dock somewhere, wherever I know that they usually moor and make their station.
Yeah. And they might have showed up either before or been like pulled up and you saw him and went down to the dock to meet him. But either way, he's going to suggest that you all go to the junction of Ladle's Rest, which is known as, what do we call it? I did come up with a name for the junction here. I have too many NPCs. This is my problem. The Sword Squirrel, which is run by an ardent named Brenda. Did I call them? I think I called them Brenda with an E at the end. Yeah. So Brenda welcomes you. There it is. When you get to the Sword Squirrel, after he's invited you to meet up there, you notice that it is rather quiet here. You've seen this place hopping, just full to the brim, like, hey, sorry, we don't have any rooms unless anyone wants to double up, which people will happily do to save some money. Well, not money, but they're constantly making food and drinks. They're like, the job board is full. And I think that when we see the Sword Squirrel, the only thing that's full about this place is in fact the job board. There are a lot of requests, and then there are like layers and layers, like at a college campus, all the posters like stacked up on one another. There are just so many jobs and no wild sailors to pick them up. It's kind of a sad, somber deal. So Hey, see you're still alive and your ship's still kicking?
Mostly. You'll see that Prickles is all swollen from dozens of bee stings. I'm still tending to that injury as I got
Yes.
stung by a crap ton of hornets
Yes.
during our
Note that I have updated your injury and noted that you are very swollen, and
Yes.
I will cut some of your physical actions as a result.
I highly expect it. I will motion Ekite over to the table, and I have a little cloth, and I lay it down, and I open it up, and in it are some pristine-looking pinwolf beast bones, as well as perhaps some other choice bits and claws and prizes from our recent success out on the Wildsea.
Ooh,
I'll say
you've got quite a few of
have
these.
some. Yes, and there's quite a bit more at the ship. I'm looking to procure some ends and oddities. I'm curious if you would be willing to make a trade.
There's a couple of gems in here as he's like picking through some of the bones. What exactly is it that you're looking for?
Frickles will reach back into a back pocket and then plop down a big list on the table. I have so many things I'd like to procure, Nick.
Oh.
But I don't want to downtime action to get like 15 things. I have actually 5 different things I would like to procure.
Okay.
But all of which I have a use for. I just don't want to specify it until I actually do it for narrative fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for more Firefly bulbs. I'm looking for glowing grubs, flower petals, aloe vera, and sap for amber.
So flower petals is easy. You can just get you can just have those. There are plenty of flower petals to go around. I think he can. I don't think he'll have much of this stuff except for. Well, let's do a roll here.
Okay.
I actually don't see trade as a specific acquisition task, so I don't even know if this counts as a downtime action. But
well, I feel like if I'm picking up 5 different unique things that I plan to use, that's kind of like gathering, maybe a gathering action.
Yeah.
I'm using my resource to gather specimens, and that's how I'm paying for it.
That's fair. Okay, sure.
Instead of hunting out in the Wildsea, I'm hunting in the market.
Yeah. Why don't you give me some sort of roll to kind of like barter with him a little bit?
Okay.
This is going to be I'm not going to put any cut on your roll here because he is a contact.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? There is no risk here because he is a contact. I'm going to honor this choice.
That's why I picked him as a contact, so I can get stuff.
I think the flower petals make sense. The grubs, I think, make sense because he would be using them as bait. He has that probably plentifully. And then he can trade you some other stuff that you can use to get the Firefly lanterns or whatever you called them.
I just want the bulbs from fireflies. I'm sure dead fireflies that are used in lanterns are there all the time. I want the firefly bulbs. I used it the first session.
Yeah.
To great effect.
Wait, firefly bulbs?
Yes, I fed them to the maw.
Oh,
as kind of
right.
like
Okay. Yeah.
I want more.
Yeah. Okay, you can take those. Now, the question of amber, that's the tricky one. Does he have amber?
I'm looking for sap for the character Amber played by Shannon.
Right. Yes, sap.
What about like maple syrup? That would still work.
Can you give me 1d6?
I certainly can. That's a 5, good sir.
He does have it. However, there is going to be a tag associated with it.
Mhm.
It is going to be rotten? No. You know what? It's probably not going to matter because here, it'll just be broken. So it's just like lots of tiny little chips. But this is probably not going to matter since you're giving it to Amber Bloom and she's just going to be able to like resokinesis.
I'm not looking for chips of amber, Nick. I'm just looking for sap.
Okay.
I used amber as a reference, and I've completely thrown your mind for a loop.
Yes, you have.
Sorry. Maybe my name was a bad choice. Sorry.
It was a fantastic
No, you're
choice
good.
because otherwise we wouldn't have laughed there.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and take some hairy sap.
Hairy sap.
Yep.
Oh,
He pulls
boy.
it out of his pocket and it's just got a bunch of like it's covered in like fur and hair and all kinds of crap.
Not a problem, my friend.
All right. Okay.
The last thing on my list was aloe vera.
That's right. Okay, give me one more d6.
Pick a color. Somebody pick a color.
Blue.
Green.
Blue.
Green.
I heard green multiple times. That's a 6.
Hell yeah. All right. It just so happens that we were tracking or we were hunting some insects that were attracted to the smell of aloe vera. We completed that hunt and I've got a little bit left over. Yeah. Okay. Are we consuming the beast bone specimen?
I think that's only fair.
Or I can add a tag since you've given him all the really, really good ones. I will. You have just a bunch of broken bones, like the reject ones.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And that leaves us with Dill, I believe.
No, it would leave us with Amber. Still fix the harpoon.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Amber!
What up? I think that Amber wants to have a chat with Eric. He is the ardent contact that she has, who is known for collecting and procuring and selling antiquarian pre-V tech. And anything that basically comes from her time. I think that she wants to go to the Bubble and Blow as well.
Okay.
Because in my mind, Eric is kind of like sleazy, and he would meet like someone in a hot tub. Do you know what I mean? Like to have a meeting about acquiring goods or whatever. Like it just
Salt's still there
like,
too.
I think he might be. So like maybe they like kind of like exchange a glance, like if she sees him coming in or going out or whenever they happen to like cross paths. It is at night. I think that maybe they're just kind of like, okay.
Do we get the montage of Salt like working in his like sound deprivation, but he can still hear the sounds of this eccentric ardent dude Eric?
I think that would be fun. Yeah.
Amber, my dear, I got your letter asking you to meet me here, outside of the prying eyes and ears around my shop. Oh, it must be something juicy you want to talk about.
I think she shudders a little bit, like, yeah, yep. And like she like gets into the hot tub so that she can like lean closer and be like, what have you acquired recently?
Oh.
from my time.
From your time, not before your time? I thought that was of your interest.
I think you know that I'm looking for things that are specific to when I was put into the amber.
Yes, yes. I don't think I have anything from old Earth anyway, but yes, from right around the time of the fall, there's been some comings and goings. Not many wild sailors coming by these parts, unfortunately, with new items. I've been considering packing up and moving to more safe territories where there are more wild sailors to bring me goodies.
That sounds like a threat, but know that there is nowhere on the Wildsea that I won't find you.
Of course. I'm glad to hear that. You're one of my favorite customers after all. Is there
Okay.
anything in particular you're looking for? I could, of course, put out feelers to other pre-V traders that I know in my networks around the world. But
Well, it's hard to say because I know that where I was found in the amber doesn't necessarily equate to where I was from with the verdancy casting us far and wide. But I am starting from there and working my way back. So if there are any other amber related treasures that have come into your collection from around the area that I was found, I would be very interested in knowing who brought those things to you.
Oh, well, it just so happens that there is a strange, supposedly cursed object that was just dropped off at my shop. I don't even know who brought it, but there is what looks to be some sort of part from one of the giant war machines that they used to fight in the wars that the humans and the aliens fought in all those years ago.
Well, I'd be very interested in seeing it, Eric. What would that cost me?
To come look at it, nothing. But we can certainly talk more business once we're in my shop. I don't
Fair enough.
quite honestly know its value. I was kind of waiting to for an appraisal, a friend of mine to come out and appraise it, but it turns out that they've canceled their trip. Something about the Leviathan making travel in this area so unseemly.
We've heard about that.
Yes, quite a
do you know what
shame.
kind of Leviathan it might be?
I've heard many, many rumors, talks of a giant vulpine, talks of a giant crawling machine, much like they have down south in the Icterine.
Interesting. Anything in particular, if you can give me any specific details, I can't make guarantees on behalf of my crew, but I could make inquiries and to see if maybe that's something that we would be interested in helping the port with so that you don't have to pack up your whole shop and make me track you down across the Wildsea.
Well, the truth is that very few, if any, people have survived an encounter with this Leviathan and lived to tell the tale.
But some have.
Oh, have they?
No?
I haven't met anyone that has. Have you?
Have you?
Salt just kind of like raises his hand, like he's not a part of this, but you see him in the background and he's just like raising his hand.
I'll look over my shoulder and be like, yeah, one of my crew, actually, just
Really?
recently. So they exist. If you hear
Ooh.
anything,
Well,
send word.
Well,
because we can maybe help each other in this endeavor.
Yes.
Unless you want to leave.
I feel
like you've got a good setup going here.
If you could do something about the Leviathan, I'd be happy to stay and certainly be in your debt.
We'd love to, but any information you can get us on said Leviathan would help. Who can you get us into contact with?
Well, I believe I've heard rumor that there is a ship captain, a pirate captain, if you will, whose entire crew and ship were taken down by the Leviathan, Captain Sage of the Knotted Knave. The rumors say he was severely disfigured by the attack. Others claim that he died, and yet there are reports of his untimely survival. Some say that he believes he would have rather gone down with the ship than survive such an encounter.
I understand that feeling completely.
Yes.
Okay, Captain Sage, thank you for the information.
Now, I will warn you, there are also those that say the beast spared him and made him its servant. So
that feels mind control? Are there Leviathans that exert mind control?
Oh, yes. I'm saying this as Nick and also as Eric.
Oh shit.
Oh, yes. Whether it's some sort of floral or sporific Leviathan that puts its pollen or spores and controls the mind, or one that shakes the sea itself and turns the clouds to storms that rattle the mind.
That's good information.
Who could say?
Thank you.
Who could say?
Now that we've talked business, what do you have from Old Earth? I feel like you were leading up to that, and you may have some artifacts from Earth that was.
Oh, yes.
And you know I love that.
And he'll just like begin rattling off like this thing called a Zuni, this thing called an Ipod, this thing called a Whackman.
Yes. I know all about the Whackmans. Show it to me.
And you can tell him about your love of these things.
Yes.
So is there something in particular you're hoping to get from this interaction?
Maybe to sort of so Amber's goal in this is to just assure him that even if she's seeking out the source of where these items have come from, everything eventually comes back through him anyway.
Yeah.
Since he's the seller and buyer of these goods.
Yeah.
So if anything, she would just become another branch in that tree of like bringing these goods back to him, to his trunk.
Yeah.
You know
absolutely.
what I mean?
Yes.
Use the vernacular of trees, I guess. So she would just be another lifeline in bringing him these goods. So she's not seeking to cut him out. She just needs to find these connections.
Okay.
However she can. So that's really her ultimate goal, is just to kind of like assure him, I'm not trying to cut you out. I just need to seek these things for myself. And I can't always wait for you to bring them to me. But anything that I do find, I will eventually bring back to you anyway.
Great. And then I think the next day he will show you the weird mech artifact he was talking about. And he says it is cursed, so try not to touch it. Or
and you say, what do you mean by cursed?
I don't know. There was a note. They said it was cursed. It says this thing will roll around on its own. It's cursed. Don't put it on a ship.
I think Amber touches it.
Well, it's covered by like a blanket, and he'll like pull it back, and it will look like a very strange. So imagine like Gundams. You know what a Gundam is, yes, Shannon? Like very sleek mech. This is the type of thing that you're used to seeing and thinking of, like very sleek bodywork and chassis and stuff like that of mechs. But this artifact that he has presented to you is the most MacGyver-assed thing you've ever seen coming from the old world. It looks like a slapdash put together hunk of junk. But it does look incredibly complex in that either this is just someone put together just a ton of random shit and called it art, or all of these little pieces that have been put together and don't even seemingly look like they belong, all work together in some way. Like it's either complete trash or it's something, but it looks very odd to you.
Are there any like pieces individually made up of the MacGyver bits that I would recognize as from the war?
Give me
Let me see. What are my...
I would like you to roll me iron plus skill of dust, remnants, and forgotten ways. Explore the ruins of the old world, traversing barriers and unearthing secrets. Give me iron delve. Give me 3d6.
Okay.
Have we found Dill's brother?
I've got a
Dad?
6, a 3, and a 2.
Ooh, a 6. Wonderful. So, yeah, you see that you don't know what it is about this thing, but you actually recognize it.
Okay.
And you said you were going to reach out and touch this thing?
Yeah, I have to.
Okay. You reach
Absolutely.
out and touch this thing, and you are hit with a flash of a memory.
Okay.
You remember seeing the mech that this thing was made of. It was exactly what I described, what looked like a very MacGyvered mech. One sec while I find my note here. So it looks like a mech made of battle debris. And you kind of get this flash of this mech taking a huge hit and its arm getting blown off. And then basically like all of the pieces begin floating, like flying back towards it and kind of reassembling themselves, but in a completely different way.
Reassemble out of order.
Still functional.
Still functional in a new form. And then you also get a flash of that like reassembled arm kind of doing the Transformers thing where it like folds around on itself and reassembles into something that actually looks more functional than what it was when it kind of reassembled.
Okay.
And there is a word, a name that enters your mind.
Okay.
And that
ready.
name is... I can find my note on where I wrote this down. I'll give this to you in a minute when I find it.
No sweat.
Oh,
I love it.
Do I see a sparkle of recognition in your eye?
Maybe.
Oh, it's called Anima. This mech's name is Anima.
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 What would something like this cursed object cost for someone like me, who is a regular customer who also brings you very fine preview tech and items?
Well, considering how heavy it is and the fact that I might be moving at some point in time, I don't know if I want to keep it around, and I would be happy to sell it to you at a discount, my dear. And he flutters his eyes.
I would very much be interested in purchasing this, but I also don't want to put my crew in danger.
I don't believe that this would put anyone in danger. It's an old hunk of junk, and he kind of like kicks it, and it just teeters and roll, like it teeters but doesn't really move because it is quite heavy.
You just told me it was cursed, my guy.
That's what the note said. I feel like I have to disclose as professional
Cursed is good.
professional courtesy. You are a sailor after all. You do deal in the realm of curses and sirens and
I've never seen a
ghosts.
siren.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. There you have it.
But
There are no mystical elements out there. I'm sure it's fine.
I didn't say that. There are mystical elements. I'm certain of it. I just haven't
Oh, I
seen them
believe
with
you.
my own eyes.
I absolutely believe you.
All right. What's our price? And I guess we can hackle about that, or
yeah.
I can give up a whisper, or I can whatever it takes. I feel like this is something that I should bring with us because it feels like it might be a powerful weapon.
Could be. I did mark it, under Eric's adjectives that he is stingy. But he
Yeah.
is. You did take him as a connection, so I'm not gonna make it too rough for you.
Thank you.
He ooh, let me look at what stuff you all have on your ship. Oh, I know what he wants. He wants promise of passage out of this place.
If he decides to leave,
Yes. Like
Well-
one free passage with all with effectively the whole cargo. Like if he wants to fill the cargo, like he gets to fill the cargo bay, and he gets the nicest bed, and he gets taken wherever he wants, no questions asked.
it's not strictly my decision to make, but I can promise you that I will make inquiries with my ship
Okay.
in exchange
you
for
know-
this thing. So don't sell this, or I'm going to have to kill the person who buys it from you and then steal it from them. And I don't want to do that.
He'll like go grab a little sign that says like offer has been made.
Perfect. I will make inquiries with my crew.
It's a sign that basically says like
amenable.
held except for way better offers.
I would expect
Well,
nothing less from you, Eric.
It's the perfect marketing strategy thing. Like it's just a thing. You just market offered in review or offer received.
Yes.
Or offer pending.
made
Offer
unless
pending.
it's
That's what it is.
Offer pending. Yeah. There's
Correct.
also
Yeah.
definitely items that have been sitting in the shop for like, how long have you been here? Like 6 months or something like that. There's definitely been items with that sign on it for as long as you've known this guy. Like
There's
sitting
dust
in the
on
same
them.
place. Exactly. Yeah.
There's dust on them and the sign.
I, from you, will need a weight of what it is that you plan to bring into our cargo so that I can bring that back to my crew and tell them what is expected of them if we're to keep you out of danger. And as far as the best bed goes, it's a ship. There's no such thing as a best bed, but I'll promise you my hammock.
He lets you know that like it'd be like most of the stuff in this shop, and also I have a small storage shed with some other items.
Oh, wait, Eric, and I'll do what I can for you, seeing as how we're such good friends.
Okay. He'll give
And then
you...
she'll run her claw over his hand. We're the best of friends, Eric.
Okay. And he'll like take your claw, like clasp between his hands, like he's like holding your hand. Oh, and you are my favorite, of course.
Obviously.
Mon coeur, he'll call you.
Mon coeur. Oh, je t'aime.
All right. Okay. All right. Is there, I guess, any other scenes anyone else wanted to have? Not necessarily a downtime action.
Yeah, I think after Salt is finally relaxed and he's able to let the trauma kind of slide off of him, he's gonna go seek out Dick Reeves,
Yes.
his adrenaline junkie friend, and he's gonna offer like, hey, you want to go out for a bit of a flight and venture among the branches?
So Stick Reeves is a willow ectus. He definitely has like a beard, like that is like hanging willow. And he's a bit of an older guy. He doesn't really move with a lot of speed, but he is a veteran Horizoneer and author. He has written a lot of manuscripts that are coveted by wild sailors and scholars for like just writing about the different areas of the sea, specific landmarks, writing about people. And he is also the founder and leader of a society of people called the Society of Ever Swinging Vines, that are just a bunch of people that are just interested in knowing about the world. They're kind of like,
okay, I got a different impression when I read that.
Oh, sorry. He's kind of like a very chill academic. If anyone knows Rick Steves, this is Stick Reeves. Yes. So okay. So he yeah.
You have to talk like Rick Steves if you're gonna do this.
I've never
NPC,
heard
though.
Rick Steves talk though, so I might have to
Oh
do
my
some
God.
research.
Yeah.
Could you give
I
me
wasn't
an
looking to do like
impression,
a
Andy?
major scene or anything like that. I just thought it'd be fun to like have Salt doing a little bit of like, finally this weight is off my shoulders. I'm gonna go enjoy the night
Oh, okay.
with a friend.
Okay, well there is a dude that loves to wave walk. In fact, he does it competitively, but
Okay, who's that?
Chikazi, who's a Celicrae champion wave walker who does it, quote,
There.
for the thrills, not the frills, constantly looking for new and challenging waves to push their skills and likely their luck.
Yes. I'm
Yeah.
gonna swap my contact to Chikazi.
Okay. They're row 9 on the contact sheet.
Yeah, I'm looking at him now.
Excellent. He will go wave walking with you. He probably looks very bored if this is like his base of operations. So this is like a pro surfer, and you've just asked him like, hey, you want to go to the beach you live at? And he basically will ask like, so like with this crazy Leviathan lurking, you sure you want to go out on the waves? Not knowing what you've just been through.
I don't think the Leviathan's gonna show up tonight.
Me neither.
Everything's great right now.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. And you go wave walking and it's fine. Okay. So the talk of the town is the Leviathan. Like, I cannot understate, or I cannot overstate, I cannot undersell how much, like, the only thing anyone is talking about in this town is, like, what is the deal with the Leviathan? What is going on with wild sailors that, like, none of them are surviving? What are we going to do? Like, a lot of it is like, what's going to be the future of Ladle's Rest? And everyone is like just kind of expressing their anxiety. There's largely a tension in the air, but everyone is pleased to see you all, wild sailors that are still here, and really curious about your experiences. And I think the rumors get around after maybe a day that all of the Cosmer in town, or at least most of them, if not all of them, the ones that you all brought back, they all survived an attack by a Leviathan. And so they're kind of getting pestered, which at first works in their favor because a lot of people are willing to kind of do them favors to be like, oh, tell me your story. Here, let me feed you. Or, hey, let me get you a drink.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
But I'm sure by the umpteenth time, it's getting real tiresome or invasive. Because people...
I honestly, I can't drink another beer. I'm sorry. I'm just...
Yeah.
Fair.
So yeah, but there's this town hall coming up that is going to be led by I'm sticking with the name of the leader of Ladle's Rest, the handler Tarek, who is a rather bulky Ectus. Is anyone planning on attending this town hall meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
I guess
Dill's
Yeah.
gonna prepare treats to hand out as if it was like a PTO meeting.
Perfect. Yeah.
a PTA meeting.
PTO,
Yeah.
parent teacher organization.
PTO.
Oh, I thought they were PTAs, parent teacher associations.
I mean,
Are they an organization now? I don't know.
I think it's 601, but like depending on the school you went to.
Yeah,
Depends
We're
on
all
which side of the
picturing
Mason
a lot
Dixon
of
line
soccer
you're on.
moms with bad haircuts right now. Let's just be honest.
all right.
That's
I think
what they're made up of.
If Salt does attend, he's going to show up really late because he's just going to be like out and about, just in a good mood. And I think at some point he'll probably go back to the ship and he'll kind of look around like, so where's everybody at? What's everybody doing? And it's like, oh, there's a town hall. Like we're going to talk about the Leviathan and stuff. And then he realizes like, oh, maybe I should be there.
Yeah.
But he's going to show up like way late.
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
I think Captain Soliday is here.
Perfect.
Um,
I think Amber also wants to try and catch the eye of Captain Sage and maybe exchange words and find out what they may or may not know.
Oh, sorry. Captain Sage is not here.
Damn it. Well, she's going to attend. She wants to know whatever it is that she can find out about this Leviathan
Mm-hmm.
to see if there's something that she and her crew can do to assist the people of Ladle's Rest.
Yeah. So
Are we the only sailors, or is the hunting family, or like any of the other sort of like fleets, are they represented?
I think that you all are one of the there are a few other wild sailors. I think we identified that there's those trappers here.
Nice.
The patient Palm. I think Ikate is here. I think a lot of like business owners are around here as well. A lot of the people we know from the contact sheet. So like there's an Ectus named Savesh, who's a librarian. There is a Twin Horn, which is someone from like the mountains named Sotho, who's a muscle for hire with a cracked bull skull mask. There is Stick Reeves is here. There are like engineers and a representative from the dock. There are the Small family. Probably one of them is here. Probably Saurine, since she wears the pants in that relationship. She's here. The operator of the Sword and Squirrel, Brenda, is here, who runs the Junction House. There's like an import and export Gao guy, Gao being the moss mushroom people, spore people. A Gao named Lidling. There is I don't think Chikazi's here. I don't know why he would be here.
Cool.
Oh,
I was just wondering if there was like competing, hunters, trappers in the mix that we might have to scrap with.
No. I think what few wild sailors that are in this area, the Foxlofts, are probably people that you all know, like, and not people. I don't think wild sailors largely are hyper competitive, like in a toxic sense. I think there is some competitive nature there, but it is largely kind of cooperation. So these are people you would get along with, that you would go get drinks with, that you would tell stories to. You probably are in slightly different lines of work, and even if you did, there has largely been enough work to go around in this area. So it's never like,
Fair enough.
yeah. There might be some tense moments, but it's very common of wild sailors, like if ships are passing and they like come across each other on the sea, it's very common to stop and like exchange pleasantries as well as exchange information, like show each other your updates to charts, warn each other about any hazards. Like that's just a very common thing on the seas because it's so dangerous and people rely on each other.
Right. Because we're like an endangered species.
Well, yeah, especially here now. So
Yeah.
I think there's a couple other wild sailors captains here. If you want me to come up with them, we can. But there is...
I was just curious if that one fleet was represented. So
yeah, but there is a kind of renowned and celebrated captain of a group called the Smothers, which are essentially firefighters. They're kind of like think of like, yeah, paladins in a sense, that people respect them and revere them and celebrate them as heroes because they live their lives to prevent like existential threats. So if there is a fire that emerges either at a settlement or in an area, they are nearby and will head there to go do what they can to fight a fire, which is scary shit. They also are kind of like the only institution in the world that is largely recognized or really that exists. So like they kind of can go like, hey, we're commandeering you all and your vessel, you're gonna help us fight a fire. Like they can do that, sort of. Like they don't really have a way to enforce that other than if you refuse, your reputation could be completely ruined. And so anyway, Captain Sagab,
in my head.
Yeah, Captain Sagave is an Ectus captain of a ship called the Promised Rain. And he is the captain of a smother ship in this area. He is also here.
I was gonna say, I'm imagining in my head that there are like pictures of these firefighters that are like on calendars that people like pass out to each other.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I gotta say, Nick, the Promised Rain is like a great ship name for this kind of thing.
Especially
like,
because there is not rain on this world anymore. All the moisture is trapped up in the trees and flora. Oh yeah. I thought it was great. Thank you.
But there's storms?
Yeah, absolutely.
Without rain?
Correct.
Have you ever lived in Texas?
Okay.
That is a real thing.
Windy ass shit.
We get heat lightning. It will thunder and no rain will fall.
If
like,
clouds do form,
damn it.
They're very thin. I've seen some like East Coast storms where there is thunder and lightning, where there's just like there's very little moisture and no chance of rain.
Yep.
Think that kind of a storm.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
They are gross.
So
and very humid.
I think that the leader of Ladle's Rest, Handler Tarek, is standing at the base of a really large open kind of like communal space on one of these floors. There's tons of lighting, and it's basically like large stepped areas, lots of tables, shops that have kind of closed. Well, no, they wouldn't have closed, but there'd be people like sitting inside with the windows open, and standing in doorways, just packing out this whole area, this communal space that they use as sort of like a makeshift town hall. And Tarek will thank everyone for coming, and say like, this is an opportunity for the community to express their concerns, to gather what information there is available, if any. And he begins kind of walking through an agenda where they kind of like, he and some other bureaucrats, bureaucrat being an extremely loose word because of how small a settlement this is. I wouldn't even say they're elected officials. They're kind of like all volunteer officials. they kind of like walk through like, here is what we know. A lot of them are rumors, and in fact probably not fact. There is like kind of putting a lot of the new Cosmers in this space kind of on the stand, like asking a couple, one or a panel of them to kind of like talk about what happened. And there is finally some consensus that the Leviathan is in fact not animal in nature, as a lot of the rumors would suggest, but mechanical. Like, I think I've previously described one of the types of things that can happen in this world is a what is it called? When a ship gets abandoned and left at sea, it can become sentient. A Moss ship. Moss ships are wild sea vessels gone truly wild, abandoned by their crews but never quite claimed by the waves. Would-be wrecks that refuse to sink. With nobody to replenish their fuel supplies, they get hungry, and without a crew to fill their cabins and swab their decks, they get terrifyingly lonely. They're vessels of want, deep and endless, and they split and change and reform themselves into something that reflects the new and ravenous nature. So it's kind of like an Ironbound, but it's just a ship that never crashed. So people in this world have experienced Moss ships, and what the Cosmer basically assert, and Salt, you also, if and when you get there for this, like, you know that this, like, what you all encountered is not a Moss ship. It was too large and too animalistic. You remember hearing the sound of like a roar, but the roar was mechanical in nature, like chainsaws. And the crew describes being lured towards what looked like an abandoned ship that was completely empty, and before they knew what happened, were attacked from beneath the waves. Moss ships don't come from beneath the waves. Moss ships are just ships on the sea. So this is like a Moss ship, but unlike anything anyone's ever seen. And people don't know what, like, whether they should call it a Leviathan, because Leviathans are animal in nature. They're beasts. They're creatures, or they are plants. But that's not what this is. This is, again, mechanical in nature.
So it was a Leviathan using a lure.
That's what it felt like an anglerfish. And there's lots of like kind of interrogation, lots of people going, well, I heard this, and the Cosmo are just like, well, maybe, but this is what we saw, this is what we shot at, this is what killed my friends.
Okay.
So I guess this is your chance. What questions do you have? There were probably things that you all talked to these Cosmer about, and there's probably other rumors that have floated here. So are there questions that you all have as players and characters about this Leviathan?
Yes.
I think the first thing I want to know is, were there any distinguishing characteristics that the Cosmers can recall, or anyone who may have survived this Leviathan that is using a lure? Are there any distinguishing characteristics that we can then utilize at the library to try and research what kind of a Leviathan it might be? Unless we feel like this is something entirely new and needs to be categorized as such.
Well, what we could see of the thing, its appendages, if you will, were they were like pieces of ships slapped together, as if it had been taking apart the ships that have fallen, the ships that have not come back home, and incorporating them into itself. It's
anything biological, tentacles, limbs, a face.
It acted like it had those things. It acted.
But you didn't see skin.
No.
Scales.
All we saw was metal and wood I mean, there was plant material growing on that, but much the same as any other ship.
Is it? I feel like, is it? Has someone built a submersible? Are there submersibles in this world? As this is Shannon asking Nick.
The expansion rulebook has rules about submersibles. You've probably heard of them, but oftentimes what it is just modifying a ship to be able to go like covering up the deck and reinforcing the seals and giving it some sort of an adaptation so that it can not only move in the lateral plane but also vertically up and down through the different layers of the sea, which have
So it'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so it'd be like if we were to outfit our tentacular, is how do you say, how tentaculary eye?
Yeah.
If we were to outfit it with like armor
Yeah.
to make it more easily able to like go underneath and cut through things. But
yeah, I
mean,
think
but
the
there's still, like, an
tentaculary is
organic-
probably pretty tough since it's the part of the ship that's interacting with all the vegetation anyway.
yeah,
But rather than your tentaculary being able to like run and skip, you've also now taught it to rock climb.
okay.
So that it can move up and down.
So it doesn't feel like, I feel like the clues that we're being given are that this is something that is mechanical in nature, not organic. So someone may have created a submersible that is taking out other ships.
Well,
but for what aim?
So one Cosmer kind of speaks up as people are like asking for more details. And this is kind of a detail that's gone largely unsaid, and the Cosmer seem to look a little uncomfortable about this. And one of them chimes in and says, well, it also, like, under the sea, there was kind of like a pale blue glow, a lot like Ironbound have. And a lot of people begin murmuring and kind of looking around at the Ironbound in the room or in the area. Dill, you get a lot of awkward looks.
Bring it. Take all
I
kinds.
return the awkward looks as I grab snacks off his tray.
Perfect.
Dill has not met many other Ironbound.
Yeah.
So his like version of any prejudice that they experience for what they are is going to be pretty limited because he's, other than Ali Oxenfree, who he hates, he's not met very many.
Yeah, you took Ollie Oxenfree as a contact and you wrote, they're an old friend, but Dill would sooner die than be so frivolous with his second chance at life. Because Ollie Oxenfree, he is a salvage. Like, he is someone that goes and salvages things professionally, and will like use some of the things he salvages and just incorporate them into his own body. Which is something that sometimes Ironbound do. They'll just change themselves up.
Oh no, his complaint was that he's like playful about it. That he's, like, whatever. It's this. It's like, and Dill is like, no, this is your chance to make to do something else, and then just be silly about it. So
yeah,
which is like, Dill, I think, accesses playfulness through other people, but he's very critical of the few Ironbound that he knows.
Do you think Ollie Oxenfree is here?
Well, I don't know. I don't really know where he is or who he hangs out with or whatever.
I did label him as being a very indifferent person. He probably is curious about what's going on. And would, like, if he were here, he'd be laughing about it. He'd be like, could you imagine being, like, could you imagine being an Ironbound so big that you're taking out ships? Wow. Like, that's his personality.
Yep. And Dill would be like rolling his non-eyes, and Dill would put a salt and pepper shaker on his head to like do an effect of eye rolling to make sure.
Fantastic.
Perfect.
Okay, so what other questions are there or reactions?
Anytime that somebody mentions a connection or a sighting of the Leviathan, I'm asking details for where it happened.
Okay.
I'm trying to gauge hunting grounds.
Sure.
Like which direction from here, how far, and
How far, how often.
If
I can determine, if I can triangulate a place
yeah,
where possibly it may have came from.
Yeah, that is a really good question. I have not. I've been working on a map. I haven't quite gotten to a point where it's presentable yet.
Funny. I want to work on a map too.
I will have one ready by next week.
I'm not saying you have to have it ready. I'm saying in character, I want to
Sure.
work on a map of where this will. I've got extra charts
You're
and
just
a map
like
maker contact. Like, this is my endeavor.
Yeah, you're like,
I want to map out where this
knock
thing
people's
lives.
drinks off a table, lay out your chart, and begin making markings. Yeah. Or you're like, hey, Dill, can I borrow your back?
Yep.
Something like that.
He does the thing like, hey, tell me more, and he like knocks over their drink while he's like laying down the map, and he says, I'll buy you a drink. And then there's like, well, you better buy me a drink, you just knocked over my old one.
Oh no, I didn't knock over the drink. I like took a flower petal off of my side, like dipped it in their wine, and I'm like making a color and then making a marking on that.
Well, I think you've described to me off air that like Prickles is not a big leader, so I got a vision of like Prickles standing up and like going up to the front where everyone's like leading the meeting, and you're just like putting it on a wall, like pinning it to a wall and like marking. But that might not be the type of person Prickles is.
I'm more asking the question and in the background doing the things while the people are talking.
Yeah. So I don't know if I mean, a lot of the sightings and attacks, the sightings are gonna line up a lot with where a lot of really common like trade routes are, and routes going like to and from certain areas, especially following safe passages. A lot of the attacks, at least the ones that have been survived, or I don't think there is anyone here that has survived, but I think there's rumors of people that survived and then got out of Dodge because they were so mired by the situation. A lot of the attacks happen at night. And that's likely because ships often anchor is the running theory. So it would be, much easier for a predator. A predator would not have to exert as much energy to attack a faster moving target.
Did you say that there was a glowing from underneath?
Yeah, that was
when they were attacked.
Yes, like the Cosmer described that, and a lot of them seemed to be hesitant to share that detail, especially because a lot of Ironbound have a kind of blue glowing energy. Not all of them, but some of them have like this kind of energy, like almost like an electrical energy that kind of like permeates through their body, the physical body, and kind of holds all the pieces together. And like that same color is being described, the color of that glow.
All right.
Do they know if it has attacked other Ironbound?
Oh.
Ooh, good question.
Mm-hmm.
Was it attack?
Has it spared Ironbound? Has it targeted them? Does every ship have one that was attacked? I need the data.
Oh boy. Let me I'm actually going to review my notes here. This is a really interesting question that I had not
Yeah.
considered.
Hey Nick, this is a wonderful time for us to take a break.
Why don't
while
we
you
take a
review your
break
notes.
while I ponder this?
That's a great idea, Nick.
And we'll
You're
be
very
right
smart.
back. We'll be right back. Alrighty, we are back. As the question rings out, hey, what's happened with the Ironbound that have interacted with this thing? We hear the sound of spurs on wood and stone, marching toward into the hall. And everybody who knows what these spurs represent get a little bit of hair standing up on their neck, or spines, or prickles, or needles, or
As a player, I'm already a big fan of this character.
Whatever you have on the back of your neck begins to stand up. This is not the song I thought it was. Let me find something.
Epic entrance music.
Hang on.
They get
All right.
they hear the spurs and it's
the
like
moment.
it's like cue up the walk-in the entrance.
Put rap battle. Put rap battle on Nick. That's my go-to. Every time we
I
can't find
don't
it,
have
just put
any
rap battle.
tabletop music in the main actually that's not true. I have Wuxia Tea House and Wuxia Village.
Those are good though.
But I haven't used those yet. I just thought, given the setting, that those would be really good.
Has a Ocean's 11 caper vibe to it, so I'm excited for this person to be like, "Here's the score."
Okay, so this song, which is called Lost World, gives me Halo 4, Halo 5. What are the later Halos? Where you're just in a big vast expanse and you have no idea, everything is alien to you. Anyway, so stepping in heavy leather pants and jacket, big brimmed hat, is a gal, worn and weathered, scarred even. This fungus person, who nearly lost his life not long ago, enters and commands presence of the room. Captain Sage says, "Well, my first officer was an Ironbound. And it's so interesting. My entire ship and crew was taken. But what happened to him," and this is, Andy, where I'm going to put it back on you. You, the storyteller, asked this question. What happens to Ironbound that interact with this strange moss ship, Leviathan, mechanical creature? What do we think, especially given your character's themes and interest in working with Ironbound? What do you think might be the most interesting thing to happen to Ironbound?
Katamari style, eaten by a larger Ironbound and made into a giant Ironbound amoeba of death, slowly growing inside the ocean.
Yikes. And he'll say, my first mate was plucked off the deck of my ship with no effort and dissolved into its being and became one with the beast.
Bill pulls a small corked bottle of hooch out of his pocket and pours one out for...
I need a pun of a famous sea vessel to be the name of his first mate. There's a character named Don Shredder. We can make his first mate Don Shredder since we haven't used this NPC yet.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'm going to delete that NPC's name and I'll come up with something else. But yeah, my first mate, Don Shredder, was plucked right in front of me off my deck before the rest of my ship and crew were taken from me. This thing is a menace and it must be hunted.
Can it be used?
Used?
Yeah. It
What?
seems that it lives in the undergrowth. It seems like it's a submersible of some kind. If we can somehow harness that power, what might we be able to dredge up? What other resources might we be able to bring to the surface and use in this town? I don't know. I feel like let's not be so hasty in our capture or destruction of this thing. If we can somehow utilize it to our benefit, I think maybe we owe it to ourselves and the community to not be so quick to just blow it to smithereens or to rip it apart. If it's something that we can use to get down into the below.
There's some like murmuring in the crowd. And Captain Sage will kind of like butt in to your idea and say, there are Leviathans and there are Leviathans. I grew up on Jorah's beard, and that is a Leviathan that works in harmony and is a creature meant to live with the sea, with people. But that thing is a killer. Now, I made reference to Jorah's beard. Jorah's beard is a 2-mile long worm. And just like the name might suggest, there is a town in its mouth near where its beard is, called Jorah's Beard, which is a port that is run largely by pirates.
Awesome.
Uh-huh.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Bill argues that just because he's been a killer doesn't mean he has to always be.
Yeah.
Well, I promise you, I will have my revenge. People of this great town, you have my word that I'll be heading out to reach the hunting families and asking for their favor, their help to take down this foul beast and restore order to these wild seas.
What greater revenge than to prosper in the face of terror by utilizing the very same weapon that has been used to hunt us? Why not take it for ourselves?
Don't listen to this. Oh man, he's gonna use like a slur to refer to you. He's going to call you a naive something, and that something is going to refer to the fact that you're from the this just naive old worlder who doesn't understand the world that we live in now.
I'm gonna brandish my hook at him.
I want you to make some sort of roll here to kind of like, I want to see how the crowd is taking this back and forth.
I was gonna say, is the slur in the context of this world, is the slur that he used like pretty bad, or is it
no, just like he's just calling you an old worlder. He's calling you like he's just calling you someone from the old world with like a tone and a term that might be a little derogatory, maybe that's what I should have said, a derogatory reference.
Okay. This son of a bitch.
If it's a slur, like that's like it's the crew, it's time to kill this guy.
No. He's just being He's being an asshole, is what he's being. He's not being.
Got it.
What if he calls her an old sap?
Oh, shit!
Love
That's
that.
so good. This naive old sap. I love that. That's
great.
perfect. I'm writing it down.
If I had a glove, I would slap your face with it.
Dill likes the pun so much
got
that he's
Amber.
like, oh, he ignores the insult. He's like, that was clever.
Okay. So let's build a dice pool for this roll.
Oh boy.
What are you thinking?
Let me. So Amber has. There's outwit, but I don't know that applies here. Which shadows and secrets.
Yeah, maybe not.
Possibly.
Sway.
Okay, so maybe grace or iron.
I think
because like
yeah.
elegance,
Sway?
precision, quality. Do I have
Yeah.
sway?
Sway
Don't have
is a
sway.
skill.
Yeah,
Tends to be.
I think sway makes sense, or if there was some sort of lead, but there's not.
Unfortunately, I don't have sway.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was
Do you
not
have
something
grace?
that.
To prepare to take the insult.
Yeah, I do have no shit. I have grace and I have iron.
I
I
think-
feel like
Yeah,
between the two, or I mean, I can even make the argument for tides in that it would be beneficial for the exploration. So it's exploration, learning, and lore. So I could even make the argument that like this beast, if it is a beast, which I don't believe it is, I think it is other people
sure.
who are scavenging
Okay.
and using our fear against us. So I could use the tides or grace, I think would be the most beneficial in this role in particular.
Yeah. I think that I know it doesn't really matter because you're adding one die no matter what you use, but like if you're framing this as tides and making it
Mhm.
about like hey, you know, we should aspire for better. We should thrive here. All of these people, their like way of life is being threatened right now. I think that that's going to be a bit of a harder sell. That's like last night during the debate, someone responding to like an immigration question. Well, we should really study immigration. Like that answer's not going to fly.
Gross.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yes. So if you
So,
chose that
great.
framing, I would impose cut.
Got it.
But iron makes sense to me as like you're trying to just like, hey everybody, this is my idea and I believe in it. You should follow me. Grace being about like articulating yourself really well also makes sense to me.
Mhm.
But yeah, I also think that this is sway.
I wish I had sway. I don't have sway.
Is anyone chiming in to help Amber out?
Does anyone have sway?
Is anyone gonna like come in with a witty retort or
Are any of us charismatic? We never have a charismatic
I
character.
have no sway either.
Our
I-
characters
Old
never have.
snap was all I had. I'm
I
sorry.
see exactly no sway.
Fuck.
What about the
All right.
captain?
Oh, yeah, where the hell is
I
the
was
captain in
just
this?
thinking about that.
Amber is not like an altruistic character, but she does see the benefit and how it might help the people of Ladle's Rest while also simultaneously helping herself. If this is a creature that can live beneath and get to the goodies.
Yeah. I'm trying to think how either the captain or strangely enough Eric might be able to help like prop up. I think that they could Eric would be willing to support like the crew as an entity, but I don't know if Eric can support this idea, if that's what does that make sense?
It does. Oh no, I lost my die. I have another one. It's fine. I don't know where it went. I literally have no idea.
So yeah, let's let this argument stand on its own. And
So
the dice.
grace or irons are just 1d6?
1d6.
That feels scary. Okay, this is gonna suck.
It's
Gonna
a
be
scary
fine.
argument.
It's a 6.
Holy shit.
See,
That's
it
incredible.
was always going to be fine.
It was always going to be fine. Sorry, I didn't mean to like witch cackle there, but I got real pumped just now.
So I think what
That
this
happened.
represents is that the people of Ladle's Rest are like, they, despite their fears, they believe in, like, they believe in you all. Like, you all as wild sailors have done incredible things. You, like, Leviathans have been taken down by wild sailors. There are people out there that have harnessed like Jorah's beard and Jorah, the 2-mile long worm, and made it a home that protects them. And like, people are like, oh well, maybe. And I think that at this moment, Handler Tarek chimes in and says, all wild sailors have our town's full support to pursue any and all means of rectifying this issue. It is one that we've heard from many families and business owners here at Ladle's Rest is impacting them greatly. None more so than the brave wild sailors, especially those who are willing to take up the mantle of trying to solve this problem for us, and bring peace to our I almost said waters, to our sea. And I think that Captain Sage just kind of crosses his arms and he says, well, then I suppose it's a race to solve the problem first, then.
Well, fair enough. But I'll say this: if it's a beast can be killed. And if it's people can be killed. And if it's mech, then the mech can be claimed. So we'll see you on the sea, Captain Sage.
Fair enough. Yeah.
What race is Captain Sage again? I'm sorry.
A Gao.
Gal. That's right. Okay.
Mushroom
person.
Are we gonna make
not
like a
fun guy.
So
Captain Sage, does Captain Sage speak signal?
Perhaps. Probably. I mean, he's a captain, so probably.
Okay.
Signal is like flares and flags and lamps. Yeah.
I'm just gonna blink like good luck spore, like whatever the mushroom equivalent of old sap is, like.
Huh.
But I'm gonna do it in blinks.
Oh. I don't know if signaling has like a signal for everything. I think like signaling is meant to be used to communicate things. Like
every language has insults.
That's the first thing you should learn when you learn
every language.
There's definitely signals for like we intend violence or be wary or like things of that nature.
It should be a signal for
back off
in every language.
Just stay away.
I'm made of mechanical bits. I can blink lights in a sarcastic manner, okay? Like,
you just turn on the high beams and just like blast him in the eyes.
Yeah.
Just like full high beams. I love it.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't want anyone to take on this endeavor thinking that it's going to be easy, because it certainly won't be. But if we're able to harness in any capacity,
you have old hand.
Yeah, whatever it is
cool.
that we're able to salvage, if we are able to salvage and utilize it to get to the treasures beneath, which is what our society thrives on, is the trading of goods from the old world, then I think we should take that chance if we can.
Okay. I think where this is going to leave you all, especially because of the 6 that Amber rolled, I think a lot of people want to support you all in your endeavor. So I think that there is going to be an offering of supplies to help you all out in your endeavor.
Woo!
So if that roll had not gone well,
That would have been bad.
though, yes, that would have been bad. I am going to, at this point, start a track. Exactly how long it is, I have not decided, but I am going to, in our notes, start a track for Captain Sage hunts the Leviathan. I'm just going to put it here. I don't know if it's going to be 8 tracks, but basically behind the scenes, I will be rolling for Captain Sage to determine like how well is recruiting the hunting families going, how well is gathering supplies going, how good is tracking going. So there is some pressure here to deal with this in a quick manner for you all. You are competing to deal with this before Captain Sage can.
I make an entreaty to the crew to recruit Kendra Sterling, who I am deeply jealous of, who I hate a little bit, but also am like deeply envious of. She is an amber clad. She is a sharpshooter, and she is part of like the hunting families. Maybe we can, and I do have a relationship with her since we're both amber clad, and we sort of.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that we're a part of the same support groups.
Oh yeah, this is one of your contacts.
This is one of my contacts. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. So she doesn't. So like, she isn't a member of the hunting families, but they like her because she knows how to hunt. Yeah. She is. Just think of the most anime ass like, wild sailor with a privy sniper.
Absolutely. I'm imagining that she has like a glowing halo around her and like an awesome cape, like just blowing in the background.
Oh, fuck yeah. She's got like
absolutely.
She's got dark skin. She's got like purple hair blowing in the wind, a sport scarf that blows with it. Oh yeah, she's badass.
I hate her, and also I want to be her.
Yeah.
I want to like talented Mr. Ripley this bitch. But it's just how it is. And she's a contact. We're both amber clad. We're both on a mission to try and find remnants of our past. And if this is a thing that can help us delve deeper, I really want to try and make a connection with her and bring her into our fold and see if this is something that she would be willing to work with us on.
Yeah.
And try to like sway her to our purpose.
Yeah.
If this is something that the rest of the crew, I'm sorry to have like hijacked that. I want to make sure the rest of the crew is like on board with like this mission and my objective. If you guys have any objections, I'm totally fine with that.
I think if we have objections, it'll come out in roleplay. That'll be even better.
That is fair. Let's go get this thing for ourselves.
Yeah. I think a lot of people like the meeting kind of concludes. A lot of people come up to you all and like are gonna like say like, hey, you know, I'd love to support you all. I'll like send you all some rations. I'll prepare some food. Or hey, I'll like send you some medical supply. Like people will bring up that stuff. You probably can call upon Sherman, that word bearer, and like say like, hey Sherman, can you go like contact Kendra Sterling for me and let her know like I'd love for her to come along or something like that. And she like that can just be us enlisting her.
Perfect.
And I think other people will come forward and say like, oh, how are you going to do this? People are going to bring up a number of different potential options, and this is going to be your homework, is kind of deciding where you want to go to enlist help in trying to figure out how to tackle this. There's obviously the Cosmer themselves, who do a little bit of tracking and dealing with Leviathans. in kind of a bigger sense. They probably don't have any specific information on this Leviathan, but they could provide some like general Leviathan information. You could go to Jorah's Beard, the Leviathan port I mentioned, and go ask those people like, hey, how did you tame a 2-mile worm?
How'd that happen?
Yeah. They're out in the Ictarine. I think I mentioned the Ictarine earlier, but I actually misspoke. The place to the south is called something else. It is called I have it right here. It is called the Interregnum, or however it's pronounced. Andy and I talked about this word a while back.
Got it.
Yeah. Got it. That is like the snowy, cold area to the south. I'll talk about them in a minute. But Jorah's Beard is out to the east in the Ictarine, which is kind of like the deserty area with massive, giant cacti petals. And that's where the Ectus come from. There is some settlements to the south in the Interregnum, which are just a bunch of like engineers and alchemists that live in a place called the Hearth, which is like a big tower in the middle of a very cold area. They're very savvy with preview tech out there, but it is a bitch to get out there, and it is cold as fuck. You could enlist the Twin Horns, which are a bunch of Ridgebacks, people that live on mountains, on large permanent islands. And they're really big on magic, and sorcery and arcanautics. I don't have any specific ideas for how they could help, but that is an option. I think that is the one that's least appealing to me, because this whole story feels very like ecological disaster, ecological thriller, and using magic seems the least interesting, especially with how we've diverted away from using whispers. So that might not be the most interesting, but I know people were interested in the Ridgeback societies. There are also a couple other options that I'll present to you all off screen, but I think that the two most obvious ones to me that are built into this setting are Jorah's Beard, which are people that harnessed a Leviathan.
I mean,
the Cosmer and the Hearth.
Hearth.
Yeah. Or if you wanted, you could go ask the hunting families, like, hey, want to trap a Leviathan rather than kill it? And that could be interesting.
Something different, something new.
Yeah. So
Bill might also. Oh, good. Nick, go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry, y'all.
The last thing I was going to ask, I guess, is like, was there anything anyone wanted from that town hall scene that they didn't get a chance to like ask, that we can kind of backfill?
Did Ali Oxenfree go to the meeting?
Why do you ask?
Spite.
It could be good bait to have on this mission, you know.
Son of a bitch.
We'll just tie him to the crane and hold him out in front of the ship.
We'll make him like the ship's like.
If he annoys the
mermaid that's like attached
the figurehead.
We'll go fishing for an angler. We'll go fishing for an anglerfish with our own anglerfish.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my
Yes.
But at the very least, if this is a monster that is absorbing things, and he regularly absorbs new shit onto himself, like, it could be good just to ask about the lore associated with that and hear his thoughts.
Someone's interested in a little grafting of their own for once.
Oh God, I hate you so much. Just tell me the information.
well, all right. We can engage with Ali Oxenfree next time.
Okay, I was just wondering if he was around, because I want to possibly talk to him about it.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be like, wasn't that a wild meeting? That was fun.
Oh my.
Did you see that? Did you see that gal with the hat?
Dill is just like scandalized. Like, how dare you not have a purpose? You disgust me.
Yeah.
Well, he's a salvage. He does work.
Yeah,
He's a
but
hard worker. He
is
just
he?
also is crazy. Okay. Well, anything else before we go?
Yes, I want to bring up the idea uh, of transporting Eric should the
Oh,
opportunity
yes, we should have that chat.
arise in exchange for a thing that I remembered from my past, and I'll explain to them the memory that I found of Anima. And this thing, which may or may not be a weapon, but it is definitely something that might help us. I don't feel like it would have been presented to us if it wasn't something that we could utilize somehow.
You've seen it fight, right? That was the memory. It was fighting something.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
like a fist that got like knocked off, like blown apart and then like reassembled
It's
as a
arm.
fist.
You have a POV memory in combat with this thing, like getting its arm blown off by some sort of explosive.
And then being reassembled. So it is at the very least armor in a way of a sword.
It's hardy.
It's hardy. And if we can figure out how to utilize it, we can protect ourselves and our ship. Hopefully. But the cost is transporting Eric, who is a little shisty. We all know this. This is not a thing that is unknown to us in all of those of us who have had dealings with Eric. But he wants to use our cargo hold. And I've asked him for a weight, and he can have my hammock for transport if, for whatever reason, he determines that Ladle's Rest is no longer a safe haven for him and he needs to move on in exchange for this armor or weapon as yet unknown. And I just kind of wanted to throw it out to the crew and see what the crew thinks of it and if it's something that is worthwhile. And if you guys think no, that's fine.
Salt will just kind of say, well, I'm uncertain as to it might be difficult for Eric to figure out the weight of his things, but I'm certain the captain could easily say the capacity of the cargo hold for weight. Bring that to him, tell him this is the limit.
I've seen his shop. It'll probably be a tight fit, but we can make it work.
Okay.
Says Captain Soliday.
Why are you asking permission?
It's not permission, but the acquiescence.
It would be a job, basically.
The rest of the crew, because it's not my call solely to make. It would also be I can't run a ship on my own. I'm a cog in the wheel of the crew. I need you all to be devoted to this cause as much as I am for the acquisition of this piece. If it would help us, I value you. I trust you. You're my crew. And if this isn't something that we all agree on, then we can pass. But I would hope that this is something that we all feel strongly about.
Does his shop and contacts, those things come on board with us, right? So,
yes.
Like, are we running his store out of our cargo bay? Are we a little mobile merchant?
Only transport. But I would imagine that if we come across something,
an opportunity
in combat, we may be able to utilize some of the things from his shop that are in our cargo hold at the time to defend ourselves if we are able.
On board.
To be clear, his request was that if if this can't be dealt with quickly or permanently, that you would help him, not like take me right now.
Right.
This is
Yes.
okay.
this request is probably like outside the scope of the story. Like
It's a favor at an
he's asking for
undetermined
a
date.
promise of a favor
TBD.
in the future is what he's asking for.
Okay.
Sorry.
I thought we were entertaining taking 2 insufferable people onto the ship while we're at port.
Oh.
Just bunk them
I do
together.
want to. I think Salt would seek out Chikazi after the meeting or whenever we're getting ready to like depart, and ask like, "Hey, you want to come with us? We're kind of going on an adventure. I'm sure there's some waves that you haven't traversed out there."
Let me know where you're headed first. Maybe I'll go catch some waves out there.
Yeah, and just imagine like it's fun doing that thing where like I fly and then I can kind of like slingshot you around the waves and stuff like that. So just imagine doing that elsewhere.
That sounds fun. But if y'all are heading like down south to the Intergenum, like I'm not going down to surf in those cold waters, in that cold sea. Keep doing that.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair.
So yeah.
We have some decisions to make.
Yes. Very
Oh,
much so.
So, do we agree to acquire the weapon in exchange for a favor at an undetermined point if the Leviathan isn't dealt with?
Well, yeah, but we're just going to deal with the Leviathan anyway. So
We're taking
Exactly.
it on credit. Like he's lending the arm to us. I'm down.
yeah,
Okay. So
Yes.
it's the whole mech
I'll No, hang on.
thing.
I will clarify. The piece that you have is, you don't know what part of it this is, but Amber has a memory of the mech that this is clearly from.
Okay.
There you go.
Perfect.
Sorry.
Oh my God. Could we find like a whole mech and
Yeah,
like recreate our. Oh my God. I'm so excited.
And then we slap you a few times until your memory jogs and you remember how to pilot it.
Yes. I don't know if I was a good guy or a bad guy, but I'm here now, y'all. So
Doesn't matter. It sounds like fun.
Amber, you do know that your memory of this mech is not from inside the cockpit.
that is fair.
Oh,
I was fighting it.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Saw this mech get blown up.
Got it.
Hey. Fair enough.
I love that in this episode we have just made one of the connections, Captain Sage, now your rivals.
Yes.
I didn't want it to be like that, but
yeah.
what are you gonna do?
Okay. All right. Well, thank you everybody. That's gonna be it for us. Excuse me. Today. Thank you for joining us here on Fable Table for episode 3 of our show. We'll be back next week with episode 4, where our crew will begin some preparations, decide their heading, and we will take off on our next sail. And we will engage with some of the journey mechanics. I'm very excited.
Sounds like fun.
Yes. Anything for the good of the order before we go?
Nope.
Hearing and seeing none. I adjourn this episode. Good day, sir.
You're here. Clink, clink.
All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.
The double salute.
One of these ones.
Oh
Bye.
dear.